All right, now that we've talked a little bit about designing your patterns for your leather armor, we're going to talk about the leather itself and what you're going to look for in leather, depending on what you want to do and how you want to form your leather. There's different kinds of leather. There's chrome tanned leather, which is it's a chemically tanned leather with chromium dyes, and it's pre-tanned at the factory. It's not a leather that can really be wet formed, but it is rather flexible in a way that you can form it, you can bend it, pinch it, and do things like that, you know, rivet it and things like that. You just got to add extra rivets. Whereas with the vegetable tanned leather, I'll get this wet, and even this thick piece of leather, I'll be able to pinch it and bend it. So that's the big difference with the different kinds of leather. Also, like I say, it's pre-dyed. So if you find some light colored pieces like this, yeah, you can throw like a brown dye, but you can dye everything. You can dye anything black usually. It can all be dyed black. So if you're going with black, it doesn't matter what color your chromium tanned pieces are. As you can see, the chrome tan is only about 1/8 of an inch thick, and that means it's an 8-ounce leather, and every ounce is 1/64 of an inch. So 1/8 of an inch is 8-ounce leather, and so on and so forth. Like these thicker pieces of vegetable tanned leather, that's more like a 10 or 11 ounce, meaning 11/64 of an inch, that kind of thing. So just an idea of how we measure our different leathers. Now this is some chrome tanned leather that is fairly thin, fairly flexible, and we use this kind of thing for like war kilts or any kind of smoother flowing garment type of thing. It's not really an armor leather, although it's thick enough to protect you if it's layered. So now, when you're marking your patterns, like on something like this black chrome tanned leather, I like to use either a Sharpie or a ballpoint pen. And notice I'm using a blue Sharpie because it actually shows up better, and I've got a blue ballpoint pen because it shows up better on the black. I can actually see it when I go to cut it. And chrome tanned leather, a lot of times, most of this can be cut with your scissors. It goes through it pretty good, and you'll notice I've got just the Fiskars regular fabric scissors. It'll just cut right through that stuff. You can also if you want to be more precise, you can also use a blade for that, no problem. When you're marking on your vegetable tanned leather, I like to just use a pencil. A pencil gets me my best line without being all that permanent. Still shows up real good. Here's some of the thinner leather. This is vegetable tanned leather as well. This is what I use for my straps. Stuff that I'm like really wanting to get some high definition, high detail forms on, like masks and things. I'll use a thinner leather like this, but for the most part I make straps with this. If you've got a thicker chrome tanned leather, you can make straps with it as well, but it needs to be thick enough to hold up to lots of wear and tear. So yeah, let's go ahead and mark some patterns and cut some leather. Okay, so after we've got some pieces cut, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna trim all this extra fray off of the bottom here that you see, because when you water harden this, wet form it, and then put a finish on it, if you leave that on there, that's going to be a very rough edge on there. And likewise, we're going to come in, we're going to cut like all the sharp points like that, we're going to nip them off, but not in such a way that it actually changes the form. We just want to cut off that corner, because the corners become very pointy and sharp after we've hardened them and put a finish on them. So now we're gonna go up, trim off some edges of leather, and get some pieces cleaned up. Now, once we've got all our pieces cut for the heavy plates on our armor, we're gonna go ahead and trim them up and cut the corners off. We're just trimming the bottom edge and just nipping the corners. When you cut your leather, you'll understand why I do this. Not everyone takes the time to do it. Okay, so that's about it for leather and the materials and how we mark our patterns and designs on it, and then cut them out, trim them up, and get them ready to be dyed. That's our next step. That'll be our next video. Thanks to all the new subscribers for subscribing. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more and you're not subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks.